Ezekiel, Yehezkel, 24, and maybe 25. One of y'all commented on a video recently that said, Barry, I love these, but it's such a shame that it's only one chapter long. It depends. It depends on the chapter. So, we shall see. The Father's will be done. Ezekiel 24. And in the 9th year, in the 10th new moon, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, write down the name of the day, for on this same day the king of Babel has thrown himself against Jerusalem. And speak a parable to the rebellious house, and you shall say to them, Thus said the Master Yahweh, to Jerusalem, the rebellious house. Two house. At this point you have the house of Israel and the house of Judah. They have separated, split. Judah is based in Jerusalem, and Israel is based in Shomeron. The Samaritan woman, the Good Samaritan, those parables with Yeshua, Messiah, that's Shomeron. The house of Israel. Behold, I come first for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, said Yeshua. Interesting. You mean that same guy that was from the house of Judah, Matthew chapter 1, righteous king in the line of King David? Yeah. So, the rebellious house. Yah is speaking through Yehezkel, Ezekiel here, speaking to the house of Judah. The house of Israel was also super duper rebellious, but remember in context that Ezekiel, Yehezkel, is speaking to a remnant of those who have gone into exile from Jerusalem. So, Son of man, write down the name of the day, for on the same day the king of Babel has thrown himself against Jerusalem. And speak a parable to the rebellious house, and you shall say to them, Thus said the Master Yahweh, Put on a pot, put it on, and also pour water into it. Gather pieces of meat in it, every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder, fill it with choice bones. Take the choice of the flock, also pile bones under it, cooking it thoroughly. Also let the bones cook in it. Put a pot on to boil, fill it with meat and bones. Therefore thus said the Master Yahweh, Woe to the city of blood, to the pot in which there is rust, and whose rust has not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, on which no lot has fallen. For her blood is in her midst. She has set it on a shining rock. She did not pour it on the ground to cover it with dust. To stir up wrath and to take vengeance, I have set her blood on a shining rock so that it would not be covered. Kind of puts a new spin on you are a shining city on a hill, doesn't it? Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets. So we've got this pot, fill it with water, fill it with meat and bones, the choice of the flock. And then woe to the city of blood, to the pot in which there is rust. So city of blood, Jerusalem, equated to this pot, in which there is rust, and the rust has not gone out of it. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I do a lot of cooking, myself personally, in cast iron. It may be practically the only... I have a cast iron skillet on the stove. I cook in it, I eat out of it, I rinse it, and then I cook out of it again. Because I eat a diet fairly different than everybody else in my house, primarily consisting of meat. So, here we have a pot full of meat. They got me to thinking, have you ever seasoned cast iron? Well, yeah, there's lots of different ways, but it takes heat and oil to season cast iron. And that got me to thinking rust, oil, rust prevention, oil. What does oil mean in the word? Anointed. Anointed. Yah has set his blessing on you. You are anointed. So this rusty pot is rusty, if you will, from a lack of oil. It's symbolic of Yah's anointing, provision, protection, blessing from the Most High. And it's rusty from a lack of use. I haven't used it anyway. There's no utility in this pot anymore. It's not serving a purpose. For her blood is in her midst. She has set it on a shining rock. She did not pour it on the ground to cover it with dust. So, this pot, the city of Jerusalem, is filled with blood. Transgression, idolatry, adultery, false worship, murder. They haven't kept the Father's commands. They haven't obeyed the Torah. And rather than pouring the blood out on the ground to cover it with dust, right? We're not supposed to partake in blood. It's a whole thing. It goes all the way back to Genesis 6:4, and corrupted flesh because the Watchers, the fallen angels, came to earth. Uriel and Azazel and this, etc. And coupled with the daughters of men, created these abominable offspring. The first of which was the great giants. They were huge, 100-ish cubits tall, so 150-ish feet tall. And they ate their offspring, which were the Iliud, which were the second generation of giants, which were still very large, as tall as the cedars of Lebanon, very large, 30 to 50 foot in height. And the Iliud begat the Nephilim, which were 10 to 15 foot tall. And in Genesis 6 verse 4, you see the Nephilim. There were giants in the land in those days and in the days after. And that's why you see the valley of the Rephidim, the Anakim. These are the giants that are in the land of Canaan when during the Exodus, when the 12 spies go out to spy out the land and they come back and 10 give a false report, 2 give a good report. They're the giants that Caleb kills of the tribe of Judah, kills at Hebron in the book of Joshua when they go into the land. So they were giants in those days, man. And giants, the biggest giants ate the medium giants ate the small giants ate people. And in many cases, the other cultures in and around the promised land, other than the Israelites, revered these giants as kings and gods. It says in Genesis 6:4, these were the men of renown, the great men. Not just great in reputation, but great in stature as well. And so giants ate people. And because people revered these giants, they would also eat people and partake in blood. And it's part of the Noahide laws. It's part of the Torah. We don't eat blood. I know we made it 6 verses. I apologize. Woe to the city of blood, to the pot in which there is rust, and whose rust has not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, on which no lot has fallen. For her blood is in her midst. She has set it on a shining rock. She did not pour it out on the ground to cover it with dust. To stir up wrath and take vengeance, I have set her blood on a shining rock so that it would not be covered. See, this is Jerusalem. This is where the Father has chosen to make his name dwell. This is where the first temple and later the second temple are. So we have to read stories about giants in the Bible, in the Torah, in Jasher and Enoch and Jubilees, and try and piece it all together. They had a rich, millennia-old oral tradition passed down from man to son, man to son, man to son over millennia, with the great details as to why we don't eat blood. What does this mean? Why don't we do this? Why do we do this? And yet they did it anyway. And that is a slap in the face to Yah. And ask me how I know one cannot win a war with the creator of the universe. So Yah's like, verse 8, to stir up wrath and take vengeance, I have set her blood on a shining rock, so that it would not be covered, so that all can see it. Therefore, thus said the Master Yahweh, woe to the city of blood, let me also make the pile great. Heap on the wood, kindle the fire, cook the meat well, mixing in the spices, and let the bones be burned up. Very apocalyptic imagery here. And set it on the coals empty, so that it gets hot, and its bronze glows, and its filthiness shall be melted in it, and its rust be consumed. Again, like seasoning a cast iron pot almost. She has wearied herself with sorrows, and her great rust has not gone from her. Into the fire with her rust. In your filthiness is wickedness, because I have cleansed you, but you are not clean. You shall not be cleansed of your filthiness any more, till I have caused my wrath to rest upon you. Man, our Father is long-suffering. Long-suffering. 90 years was it Ezekiel led on one side for the house of Judah, 390 on the other side for the house of Israel. 90 years. Man, I'm telling you, shape up or ship out. Get your poop in a group. Nah, we're good. We're going to do it our way. Thanks, though, God. Thanks for your input. In your filthiness is wickedness, because I cleansed you. I have cleansed you, but you are not clean. I have put up with your crap for so long. I have cleansed you, but you are not clean. You're still not clean. You shall not be cleansed of your filthiness anymore till I have caused my wrath to rest upon you. I told you to clean your room 100 times. I'm done asking. Now you're going to catch a whooping, and you're still going to clean your room. I, Yahweh, have spoken. It shall come, and I shall do it. I do not hold back, nor do I pardon, nor do I relent. According to your ways and according to your deeds they shall judge you, declares the Master Yahweh. It's very reminiscent of Revelation 22, Yeshua on the white horse. Revelation 22, verse 12. We could even start at 10. And he, the angel, said to me, John, Yochanan, who's having this revelation, do not seal the words of the prophecy in this book, because the time is near. He who does wrong, let him do more wrong. Because I have cleansed you, but you are not clean. He who is filthy, let him be more filthy. He who is righteous, let him be more righteous. He who is set apart, let him be more set apart. The winnowing, the separating, the sifting between the righteous and the unrighteous, those who will teshuvah, those who will repent, those who will walk in Yah's ways, and those who will not. And why is that important? Because Revelation 22, verse 12, from the mouth of Yeshua, and see, I am the great I am. What is your name? I am that I am. Who do you seek? Yeshua of Nazareth. I am he. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me to give to each according to his work. Well, Bear, that stuff you talk about with the Torah and all that, it sounds like a works-based theology. The only reason it sounds that way is because that's exactly what Messiah says it is. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me to give to each according to his work. In the New Testament, after the death, burial, and resurrection of Yeshua, here we're talking about the second coming of Yeshua. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 verses. 9 verses from the end of the Bible. And see, I am coming speedily, and my reward is with me to give to each according to his work. I am the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. Blessed are those doing his, Yahuwah's commands, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of life, and to enter through the gates into the city. So again, what we're seeing here in Ezekiel 24, has a little ends time-ish vibe going on with it. 24:14, I, Yahuwah, have spoken. It shall come, and I shall do it. I do not hold back, nor do I pardon, nor do I relent. According to your ways and according to your deeds, they shall judge you. Now, in this case, they being the Babylonians who have been subcontracted by Yah to bring judgment in this case. They shall judge you, declares the Master Yahuwah. Verse 15. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, see, I am taking away from you the desire of your eyes with one stroke. But do not mourn, nor weep, nor let your tears run down. Groan silently. Make no mourning for the dead. Bind your turban on your head and put your sandals on your feet. Do not cover your upper lip, and do not eat man's bread of sorrow. This verse is heartbreaking. And I spoke to the people in the morning, and in the evening my wife died. And the next morning, I did as I was commanded. Bro, I don't know what the relationship was like between Yehezkel and his wife. I know and know of many thousands of people who claim the name of Yah and claim to be Torah observant. And some of them are the best people I have ever met. And some of them are absolute pieces of trash. So claiming to be in the Father's way, again, you shall know them by their fruits. Behold, I come swiftly to judge each man according to his works, because words are freaking cheap, right? But the people that I do life with intimately, in my innermost circles, we all love our wives. Like, a lot. I can't think of one loveless marriage. So I don't know how Ezekiel, I don't know what his relationship was like with his wife, but if this was me, if this was my wife, Son of man, see, I am taking away from you the desire of your eyes with one stroke. But do not mourn, nor weep, nor let your tears run down. Groan silently. Make no mourning for the dead. Bind your turban on your head and put your sandals on your feet. Get up out of bed and get dressed for work. Do not cover your upper lip. This is sorrow. This is shame. And do not eat man's bread of sorrow. And I spoke to the people in the morning, and in the evening my wife died. And the next morning I did as I was commanded. How difficult that must have been. Speaking again for me, were I, Yehezkel, Ezekiel, the only way that would be possible would be supernaturally, with the strength and power and authority and comfort and wisdom and discernment from Yah. Because flesh, me, would be in deep mourning. I would be distraught. And the next morning I did as I was commanded. And the people said to me, would you not explain to us what these matters you are doing mean to us? You see here, Ezekiel's wife and her death is a parable to these exiled of the tribe of Judah, the house of Judah. His wife is Jerusalem. Ezekiel is the exiles. And the people said to me, would you not explain to us what these matters you are doing mean to us? And I said to them, the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, speak to the house of Israel. Thus said the Master Yahweh, see, I am profaning my set-apart place, the pride of your strength, the desire of your eyes, and the delight of your being. And your sons and daughters whom you left behind shall fall by the sword. And you shall do as I have done. Do not cover your upper lip, nor eat man's bread of sorrow. And let your turbans remain on your heads and your sandals on your feet. Do not mourn nor weep, but you shall pine away in your crookedness and groan with one another. And Yehezkel, Ezekiel, shall be assigned to you. Do according to all that he has done. When this comes, you shall know that I am the Master Yahweh. Your sons, your daughters are going to die back in Jerusalem trying to defend that place. And you're not allowed to mourn for them. And when Yah says, I am profaning my set-apart place through the Babylonians, who he has subcontracted to bring judgment upon Jerusalem. See, Tisha B'Av, the Jews to this day mourn the loss of the temple, first temple and second temple. And to this day, point fingers at the Babylonians, the Assyrians. Bro, the only reason Yah made that happen was because of your lawlessness your covenanted relationship with the Father. It's judgment. You earned it. You got what you earned. Behold, I come swiftly to reward each man according to his works. It was Yah's will that the temple be destroyed and be profaned and that those people be killed. Because for 90/390 years, you didn't listen. To this day, there's still no acknowledgement from Judaism that that was our fault. We did that with our lawlessness. And you, son of man, on the day when I take from them their stronghold, the joy of their adorning, the desire of their eyes, and the lifting up of their being, their sons and their daughters, on that day one that has escaped shall come to you and let you hear it with your ears. On that day your mouth shall be opened to him who has escaped, and you shall speak and no longer be silent, and you shall be a sign to them, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. We'll do 25 as well. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face against the Ammonites and prophesy against them. And you shall say to the Ammonites, Hear the word of the Master Yahweh. Thus said the Master Yahweh, because you said, Aha, against my set-apart place when it was profaned, and against the land of Israel when it was ruined, and against the house of Judah when they went into exile. Because you're seeing all this stuff going on, don't get too big in your britches, Ammonites. Therefore, see, I am giving you as a possession to the men of the east. And they shall set their encampments among you, and make their dwellings among you. And they shall eat your fruit, and they shall drink your milk. And I shall make Rabbah a pasture for camels, and Ammon a resting place for flocks, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. For this is what the Master Yahweh said, because you clapped your hands and you stamped your feet and rejoiced with all the scorn of your being against the land of Israel. Therefore, see, I myself shall stretch out my hand against you and give you as plunder to the nations. It's almost like nobody beats up my little brother but me. Right? I don't know. I come from a big family, and we certainly had many sibling rivalries. We'll just put it that way. And that's the infighting is almost a natural thing amongst siblings in a large family. And I might hate my brother's guts or my little sister's guts until somebody else picks on them. Then, nobody whips my little brother's ass but me. It's kind of the, and raise your hand if you came from a dysfunctional home, right? So, excuse the analogy if it was all, unicorns and rainbows for you growing up. But I see that in this. Yah is saying to the Ammonites, and then soon here to Moab, hey, just because you see my chosen people dealing with this Babylonian captivity, don't you get too big in the britches. Because you raised your voice against them, I'm gonna smoke check you too. See verse 25:7. Therefore see, I myself shall stretch out my hand against you and give you as a plunder to the nations. And I shall cut you off from the peoples and make you perish from the lands. I shall destroy you, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. I shall destroy you. See, I know all the rabbit holes, but whatever. You paid good money for this. Oh, right, $0. I apologize. I get many people who have been indoctrinated by churchianity, of which I was earlier in my life as well, who seem to have an inability to accept that the rapture doctrine as taught in churchianity is not biblical. And here's more proof text of that. The Father does not remove his chosen people from bad stuff. He stewards them through bad stuff. Research John Darby. Pull up your favorite search engine, John Darby Rapture, and just dive into the rabbit hole. It ain't a thing, yo. Because compare, contrast, in Jerusalem, some of the 12 tribes of Israel, the house of Judah, are getting smoked right now in chapter 24. But there are exiles who have been removed. See, the Babylonian captivity seems terrible to these exiles from Jerusalem, but they're still alive. They've been given an opportunity to teshuvah, to repent. The Father's taken everything from them, that the only thing they have left is Him. The only place they can turn for comfort now is to Him, aka rock bottom. You ever been there? Raise your hand. Me too. Okay? They're still there. A remnant was preserved. And again, if you read Revelation, there's much mention of the remnant. Coincidentally, I guess we'll just go there. Here's the endurance of the saints, the set apart ones, those that have a testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach, of the Christ, the anointed one, and keep the commands. Revelation 14 verse 12, Revelation 12 verse 17. Do your own homework on that. But my point here is, in 25:7, Ezekiel 25 verse 7, the Father says to these Ammonites, I myself shall stretch my hand against you. I shall destroy you. The bad guys get destroyed. The good guys, for lack of a better term, the marginally less bad guys, they don't get destroyed. They get winnowed. They get threshed, like the wheat and the chaff, like the goats and the sheep. But they are preserved. There is a remnant. So the Father's chosen people are still besieged, still having their homes destroyed, their family killed. Bad stuff is still happening to them, but they are not destroyed. And it is a mercy in that moment that they get to exist to serve Him, that they have the opportunity to teshuvah after 90/390 years of playing it all wrong. Long suffering versus the children of Ammon, the Ammonites. Oh, you clapped your hands and raised your voice to rejoice at the calamity that is Jerusalem right now? I will destroy you. Nobody kicks my little brother's ass but me. You see the difference here? Verse 8. This is what the Master Yahweh said. Because Moab and Seir say, see, the house of Judah is like all the nations. Is it supposed to be? No. Read Numbers 25. Negative. Not allowed. Leviticus 19. Be set apart as I am set apart. Don't be like all the nations. This is what the Master Yahweh said. Because Moab and Seir say, also not great dudes, see, the house of Judah is like all the nations. Therefore, I am opening the flank of Moab on the side of the cities, on the side of his cities on its frontiers, the splendor of the land, Beit Yeshimot, Baal Meon, and Kiriathim. And I shall give it, together with the Ammonites, as a possession to the men of the east, so that the Ammonites are no more remembered among the nations. Oh, you open your mouth against Jerusalem, Moab? Check this out. Also on Moab I execute judgments, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, because of what Edom has done against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, so that they became very guilty, and they have taken vengeance on them. Therefore thus said the Master Yahuwah, I shall stretch out my hand against Edom, and I shall cut off man and beast from it, and lay it waste. From Teman even to Dedan they shall fall by the sword. And I shall lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel. By the hand of my people Israel. Edom, it just got personal. not even subcontracting this out to the Babylonians. Unlike the Ammonites, unlike Moab, unlike Seir, they're going to get smoke checked too by the Babylonians for even whispering against my chosen people. Edom, you get it firsthand, personally, from my people, Israel. My people, Israel. Did that ever change? Malachi 3 verse 6, I'm the Lord Yahweh Sabaoth, I change not. Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever, brother. So, and if Christ, the anointed one, Yeshua HaMashiach, or Yahushua, or Isu, or pick your pronunciation, don't matter. If he is the physical embodiment of the Creator, and the Creator doesn't change, how did God change what God said? Or is it more likely that some, men somewhere changed what God said? If I gotta, place a bet on that, I'm gonna bet that God didn't change because God said God doesn't change, and that it was, in fact, men that changed. So, if God said, my people, Israel, what do you suppose Romans 11 verse 16 it is that you're grafted into, Gentile believer? Because remember, the root bears the branch. The branch does not bear the root. What are you grafted into? What is the tree of life biblically? It's a euphemism for Israel, Yisrael. Genesis 32. Israel means, and it's threefold. Imagine that, like a triangle, like the three facets of the Creator, Abba Yahuwah, the Father God, Yeshua, the Messiah, and the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit. Israel, what are the three facets of Israel? Genesis 32, go read it with your own eyeballs. He who is struggling with Elohim, that's one. He who has overcome with Elohim, that's two. And he who is ruling with Elohim, that's three. So not only is that the story, the historicity of Israel actual from Genesis all the way up to Revelation, struggling with, overcoming with, ruling with, it's also our pattern of behavior as we come to the Father through Messiah, struggling with. Dude, I was at war with the Creator for a decade. I'm covered in satanic tattoos. Play drums in abominable metal bands. If it's bad for you or bad for me, I've probably done it. Struggling, at war with, in a state of apostasy. And in hindsight, not because of him, because of people who said they knew him and how they behaved towards one another. It took me a long time to realize, people make mistakes, myself included, not God. He changes not. But see, I let that get to me for a decade. And because he's merciful and long-suffering, I couldn't run far enough away from him for him to stop loving me. But I was struggling, man. And then I overcame. By the blood of the Lamb and the word of my testimony. Because of Messiah. And then ruling with, Exodus 19 verse 6, you shall be unto me a holy kingdom. A nation of kings and priests ruling. That is the ideal state of man. A king and a priest. That is Israel. That is the Father's chosen people. So, regardless of which one of the 54,000 denominations you might be, you can take your replacement theology, shove it up your ass because it's bullshit. I can't believe you would say those words while reading the Bible. Go watch somebody else. I'm clearly not going to be your cup of tea. The Father's people, Israel. I'm sorry. I promise you, I try to censor myself, and the more that I do, the more I struggle with it. And it almost feels like I am metering the flow of the Spirit through me by trying to police my words rather than just speaking what it is that He's given me to say in the way that He's given to me to say it, as if like if I said it any other way, it would be disingenuous. Because He's given me all the life experiences I've had to this point to get me to this point to be able to read and say this. So it would almost be blasphemous to not speak the way that I speak, but to try and be somebody else to deliver this message, because I'm not somebody else, I'm me. Fearfully and wonderfully created, every hair on my head known, with a purpose, with a mission before I exited my mother's womb. See, we suffer from this idea that a pastor or a priest or a rabbi or a bishop is supposed to be a man of Elohim, supposed to be a really nice guy. Biblically, no. No, they're not. They're supposed to do what Yah tells them to do. Doesn't mean they're really nice guys. And I know of and know several really nice guys that claim the name of Yahweh, claim to be Torah observant, and are engaged in the most wicked abominations that you could imagine. And they're 100% taking the Lord's name in vain by putting His name, His stamp of approval on their bullshit. But man, they use really nice words. They're real nice guys. So peaceful. Their words, their language, their tone. Yeah, but if you knew what they were doing when that camera wasn't on, pitchforks, torches, axes, rope, trees. So forgive me if I use the occasional four-letter word. Back to the Bible. Verse 14. And I shall lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do in Edom according to my displeasure and according to my wrath. So they shall know my vengeance, declares the Master Yahweh. Wow. Yah's wrath? Yah's vengeance? I thought God was just a really nice guy too. Who's doing this? His people Israel. Turn the other cheek, brother. Love the sinner, hate the sin. And I shall lay my vengeance on Edom by the hand of my people Israel. And they shall do in Edom according to my displeasure and according to my wrath. So they shall know my vengeance, declares the Master Yahweh. Thus said the Master Yahweh, because the Philistines have acted in vengeance and took vengeance with scorn in their being to destroy with lasting enmity, therefore thus said the Master Yahweh, see, I am stretching out my hand against the Philistines, and I shall cut off the Keratites, and destroy the remnant of the sea coast, and execute great vengeance on them with raging reproofs. And they shall know that I am Yahweh, when I lay my vengeance upon them. Really nice guy, this Yahweh guy. So you want to fight a war against that? I wouldn't recommend it. I lost a decade of my life. So the flip side of that is Deuteronomy 28. If you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, your Elohim, then you will be blessed. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you. And I might be a little rough around the edges, but I am overtaken with blessings. Because Yah saw fit for a decade to not abandon me, even though I was furious with him, because of how people who took his name in vain acted, and the witness that they created for him. I was furious is not the word. And it took a decade of him inexplicably loving me while I was furious at him to realize that he wasn't the problem. Ezekiel 24 and 25. Bless y'all. Shalom.